We've made it. The last chapter of Gooney Green, the climax, and we'll get to find the resolution of who actually really is the Room Mother. I know you've made your predictions. Let's see if your predictions are correct. Well, Miss Pigeon played a rhythmic drumming sort of music on the piano. Gooney Green danced from the door to the front of the multi-purpose room. Her dance was a combination of shuffles, taps, and twirls, with an occasional pause for a hop. She was wearing fuzzy bedroom slippers, her long velvet skirt, a flowered Hawaiian shirt, and a top hat to which she had attached a blue feather. The audience applauded at her entrance. She ended her dance and bowed dramatically, steadying her hat with one hand. "I am Squanto," Gooney Green announced. "And these," she gestured to the other children as they entered the room marching, wearing their costumes of cardboard hats and headbands and belt buckles, "are Pilgrims and Native Americans. They are Squanto's friends," she added. The Pilgrims and Native Americans stood in a semicircle behind Gooney. They all adjusted their headgear and then stood with their hands at their sides, wiggling their eyebrows to hold up their hats and headbands, which were already slipping toward their foreheads. "Now, in honor of Thanksgiving, I'm going to tell you a story," Gooney said. Mrs. Pigeon played a ta-da chord on the piano. The audience clapped and laughed. All of them knew already, because they'd already been told by their children, what a good storyteller Gooney Green was. Even Barbara Green, Gooney mom, clapped and laughed. And from behind his headband, which had settled across his nose, Malcolm muttered, "I hope they don't clap too loud to wake up those triplets." Gooney took a few deep breaths, adjusted her posture, and began. And here is a picture of the children. "I am not the actual Squanto. The real Squanto was a Paget Indian who was born in a village near where the Pilgrims would land, but when he was born, they hadn't landed yet. He learned to speak English from some early settlers. He helped them in many ways, and he was a very helpful guy. When some of them went back to England, they invited him to go along. His mother didn't want him to. I can understand that. My mom wouldn't want me to go off to another country. She would say I was too young. We would probably have a big argument about it." "Oops," Gooney said. "That was an authorical intrusion. I didn't mean to do that. It's boring." But he went anyways. "This was way back in the 1600s. Squanto is dead now. I am not the real Squanto. I am an imitation." "Mr. Leroy," Gooney said, "could you tell us the meaning of imitation, please?" The principal looked up and cleared his throat. "Well, he said with a nervous little laugh, "it means fake. You are a fake Squanto." Gooney looked behind her at the semicircle of Pilgrims and Native Americans. "Barry," she said, Barry pushing his headband up on his forehead, stepping forward. "Imitation," Barry said in a loud voice. "Something made to be as much as possible like something else." He bowed and stepped back. Everyone, including Mr. Leroy, clapped. "Thank you, Barry." Gooney said to the audience. She explained, "Miss Pigeon has taught us all to use a dictionary. We have gotten very good at it. For second graders, because we didn't underestimate ourselves." "Underestimate, Beanie?" Gooney said. Beanie stepped forward. She stumbled a bit because of her hat was over her eyes. Then she righted herself, stood straight, and said, "Underestimate, to judge things as less than as their real value." She curtsied and whispered, "Like I underestimated the bigness of my hat." The audience laughed and clapped. Gooney continued the story. After a while, Squanto got tired of being in England. It was noisy and everybody went shopping all the time. He was homesick, so he cajoled a sea captain into taking him back to America. "Felicia Ann," Gooney announced. Felicia Ann, her pilgrim bonnet completely covering her eyes and nose, stepped forward shyly. "Cajole, to persuade someone to do something by flattery or gentle argument," she said in a small voice. The audience clapped. Gooney continued. "He traveled around for a while, being helpful because he was a helpful guy. He was an interpreter between the Americans and the Indians." "Malcolm," Gooney said. "Interpreter." Malcolm unbent his green feather, straightened his headband, and wiggled his fingers in a way that he always did when he was nervous. He hesitated for a moment, thinking. Then he said, "Interpreter. Someone who translates something from one language to another and helps people understand each other." The audience clapped. "Shh," Malcolm told them with his fingers over his lips. "Don't clap too loud." But suddenly, the children smiled in anticipation at the suddenly. "A bad ship captain tricked him into going into a ship. It was a big scam. They made him captive and took him to Spain. The captives were all sold as slaves, and it made Squanto pretty mad. But he was indefeasible. I don't even know I can say that word." Gooney grinned. "Tyrone," she said. Tyrone, his headband completely covered in beads with two feathers attached, strutted forward proudly. "Indefatigable," he proclaimed, never showing any sign of getting tired. "Thank you, Tyrone," said Gooney after the applause. "I'm going to flash forward a bit now. That's the thing that authors do." After a long time, Squanto finally made his way home. He had been away for years, and when he finally got home, he found that his village was gone. His people had all died. He was the last of his tribe. He was very sad, but he became friends with the great chief Massasoit, and after a while he met the pilgrims who just arrived. So he had some new friends, and they hung out together. The pilgrims' lives in America would not have been a fiasco if the good Indians like Squanto had not helped them. Chelsea? Fiasco? Chelsea waved at her mother in the front row. Fiasco. A total failure. Chelsea curtsied and gave a thumbs-up sign. Gwenny Bird finished her story. Squanto had gotten lots of new clothes in England, and he learned to dance. The end. Gwenny Bird bowed, twirled in a circle, and did a small bit of a hula. All of my story was absolutely true, except maybe the part about learning to dance, but I think he probably did, Gwenny Bird said. The audience rose to their feet, clapping and cheering. From the back of the room, when the applause quieted, the sound of babies crying came from the huge stroller. Malcolm pulled his headband down over his eyes and groaned. I have a couple more things to say, Gwenny Bird announced. The first Thanksgiving is a really good story because it tells about people becoming friends and being helpful to each other and being thankful. So some of the second graders want to say what they're thankful for. Nicholas said loudly, the Muriel. I got to do the forest part, and Miss Pigeon, she stretches our skills. Next, Gwenny Bird said, Kiko, my family, Kiko said, and Miss Pigeon, she makes me smile. Ben hopped up and down. My fixed broken arm, he held it up. And Miss Pigeon, I like her songs. And she lets us change socks. One more, Gwenny Bird said, and then we can have our refreshments. Malcolm sighed. Slowly he walked forward. He looked toward the big stroller. Okay, I guess I'm thankful for the triplets, he said after a moment. Their names are Taylor, Schuler, and Tierney. And two are boys and one's a girl, but I don't know which one is which. And I'm thankful for Miss Pigeon because she's very calm even when I'm not. And I'm thankful for the room mother because she brought cupcakes and I'm hungry. From the back of the room, a voice called out, here is a picture. I wonder if this gives us a clue. Who is it? Bring them. I provided them. There's a difference. Then, very slowly, an elderly woman stood, lifting herself by the arms of her wheelchair. Next to her, a nurse reached out steady to her. Here is what I'm thankful for, the old woman continued. I'm thankful that Gwenny Bird Green called me on the telephone and asked me to be the room mother. I haven't been a room mother for 35 years. I was room mother when my daughter Patsy was in second grade, and it was fun then, and it will be fun now. And mostly I'm thankful that Patsy became a teacher, because she makes me proud. She lifted one hand and waved to Miss Pigeon, seated at the piano. Miss Pigeon dabbed her eyes with a hanky and then waved back. Hi, Mom, she said with a smile. And don't forget Gwenny Bird Green, the room mother said. You promised me a special song. Gwenny Bird looked at Miss Pigeon. Class, Miss Pigeon said, and played the first chord. Room mother, the children sang. The end.